Hello lovelies, I'm Christina and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my October and November wrap-up because I haven't done a wrap-up in a long time. Now before I show you the books, I'm just gonna say sorry for the horrible lighting, but I do live in Norway. The day of time when we have natural light is about from the time that I leave for work, and the sun goes down before I even get home. So this is about as good as it gets right now. So just bear with me for a couple of months and then the beautiful natural light will be back again, and I will try to do better with the filming during the daytime whenever I have a day off, so I can get some good footage for you guys. But now I'm going to show you the books that I've read for the last 2 months. Now the first book that I read was The Madman's Daughter by Megan Shepherd. This is inspired by H.G. Wells' The Island of Dr. Moreau. Now I've never read The Island of Dr. Moreau, even though it's a book that I really want to get to. I really do want to read more of H.G. Wells, but this intrigued me because it is supposed to be horror. I think it's supposed to be YA as well. It is the story of Juliette Moreau, who is the daughter of Dr. Moreau. She has started her own life in London after her father was sent away because of the rumors of his scientific work, and she thinks he's dead. Then she suddenly meets his assistant, who is an old friend of the family that she knows, and she discovers that he's very much alive and she needs to get some answers, and she goes with him to the island that Dr. Moreau stays at and does his research, and she finds out that her father really isn't the man that she thought he was. It was an interesting story. I wasn't bored at all, but it didn't actually really grab me and I didn't really connect with the characters that well. Even so, it was an enjoyable ride. I listened to it on Audible and I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This one I read a Norwegian edition of, and I really enjoyed it. It is the story of Simon, who is gay but is not openly so, and he is sending emails with a guy named Blue. And this is another student at the same school that he goes to, but Simon doesn't know who Blue really is, and Blue doesn't know who he is. And then one day another student at the same school discovers the emails that they're sending, and he then goes to blackmail Simon. It was a very interesting take on the whole coming out story. It was very different, it was witty, it was cute, and it was just a very nice break from a lot of other books that I've been reading lately, and I think it was a good and healthy way of looking at homosexuality in YA. I look forward to seeing what Albertalli comes out with next. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book is a non-fiction one that I listened to on Audible as well, and that is The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes is the brain behind Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, and is it How to Get Away with Murder? Yeah, I think it's How to Get Away with Murder. Now, I am not a huge fan of any of those shows. Not that I don't like them, I've just never watched them, and I generally watch very little TV and very little TV shows, but I'm always very interested in reading about the routines and the mindset of successful people, and especially successful women. And Shonda Rhimes was just a treat to listen to. Her story was really interesting, and this is not per se the story of how she became successful, but the story of how she realized that her life was kind of stuck and she wasn't saying yes to a lot of things, so she challenged herself to say yes to any opportunity that comes along. Not like saying yes to everything, but saying yes to any big opportunities and everything that scares her to do. And it was very, very interesting. I really enjoyed it and found it to be super inspiring and motivational, and I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was She's Not Invisible by Marcus Sedgwick. This is the story of Loreth. Loreth is blind. Then one day her author father goes missing, and she takes her little brother on a plane from London to New York. I think she's is she 14 or 11? I don't remember, but she's really young, and she takes her brother with her, and they fly off to New York without telling their mom, and she then goes looking for her father, and it turned out to be a really interesting ride. I've shown this book off a couple of times, and it was one that I picked up on a whim. It was really cheap, and I thought the cover was super cute and it sounded interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quirky, it was cute, it was funny. I've been wanting to get into crime again because I haven't read crime for years. I've been thinking that it's time to give crime a go, so this might have been like a very easy way to ease into crime. I mean, I read this so fast. It's a real quick read. It was very enjoyable. I liked the characters. I wish I would have connected more to them, but the story was very interesting, and there's clues along the way that was really funny to try to decode by oneself, so that was a big plus. And yeah, just a good and funny, interesting ride, and I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. Now, the last book that I read, and that was at the end of November, was one that I've been waiting for a long time, and I've already done a video review of it, and I will link it down below and in a card up here somewhere. That, of course, is The Spy by Paulo Coelho. Now, this is the story of Matahari, an exotic dancer that really tried to just live life to the fullest and get as far ahead as she could with what she got, and it ended up taking her life. It is inspired by a true story, and it was truly amazing. If it sounds somewhat interesting to you, then I would recommend that you go and watch my review of it, where I go more into depth about it, because I don't want this video here to be super long, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. Paulo Coelho did an amazing job, and I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. Not a lot of physical books there, so I'm not going to try to hold up a stack or anything, but I am going to show you my Elfie selfie sweater, because it is truly amazing. And when I showed it off on Instagram, I got a lot of comments and love from you guys, and it was truly fantastic, so I'm going to show it off once more. Look at that! And it even says Elfie selfie. I mean, it's one of the greatest things about Christmas is the ugly Christmas sweaters. I love them to death, and I can't get enough of them, so. You'll be seeing more of ugly Christmas sweaters in the near future, so if you don't like it, sucks to be you. But hey, those were the books that I read in the month of October and November. Not as much as I usually do read, but I have been kind of slumpy. But I'm focusing very heavily on my writing at the moment, so that takes up a lot of my time, and I'm not having any regrets about that. But I will be reading more now that I'm finally out of the horrible slump. Now I want to know what your favorite read of the last month have been. Anything that you could recommend me, and especially if you have like Christmas reads that are not typical Christmas reads. I would say something like Nosferatu, and I just read Krampus the Yule Lord, which was fantastic. I will do a review of that pretty soon. But anything like that, who's like not a traditional Christmas read, I would love to hear some recommendations for. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will see you in my next video soon. Goodbye!